Ever had that one coworker, you know the one, that just pushes you so far you do almost anything to teach them a lesson? Well, get ready, because today we're diving into a story that takes workplace revenge to an absolutely legendary level of commitment.
Yeah, I'm talking about 1 full hour. Imagine willingly adding an entire hour to your commute, every single day, for a whole week. And not because the traffic was better, oh no, it was all for something much, much sweeter. Pure, calculated revenge.
And that's really the big question we're tackling, isn't it? Was this move an act of absolute genius, or was it, well, completely unhinged? By the time we're done here, I want you to tell me what you think.
All right, so let's set the scene. How did this whole thing even start? We're going to break down this incredible workplace drama. And it all begins with a very familiar story. One person trying to weasel their way out of doing their actual job.
So, meet our narrator. Her normal commute? A breezy 20-minute drive to work. Simple, right? But there's another option. A grueling hour-long trek on public transport. Keep that in mind. Now, she's got this senior coworker who is, let's just say, about to become the villain of our story.
And here's where it gets familiar. There's an upcoming supplier visit, it's an hour away, and it is explicitly the senior coworker's responsibility. But what does he do? For a whole month, he's dropping these passive-aggressive hints, trying to manipulate our narrator into driving. His grand strategy? He tells the manager very vaguely, "Oh yeah, I'll figure something out." You know exactly what that means.
But here's the twist. Instead of just getting mad, our narrator gets strategic. She hears that lazy promise to figure something out, and a light bulb goes off. This wasn't going to be an angry email. Oh no, this was the beginning of a carefully planned, multi-day operation. I mean, just look at the dedication in this plan. Step 1. For an entire week, she ditches her easy car commute for that painful hour-long public transport ride. Step 2. She concocts this perfect cover story. Her brother's in town and borrowed the car. So, she's got plausible deniability. And then the checkmate move, a perfectly timed, formal email to both her manager and the senior guy, innocently asking about the transport plan for the supplier visit. This forces the manager to turn to the senior coworker who had, you guessed it, figured absolutely nothing out.
Can we just stop and appreciate this for a second? She woke up an hour early, every single day, for a week, just to set this trap. She played it cool, saying it was a good time to catch up on podcasts, but come on. That is a serious level of commitment. That's a huge investment of personal time and energy.
Okay, so the stage is set, the trap is laid. Did it actually work? Let's get to the good part. This sweet, sweet payoff.
Oh, it worked better than she could have imagined. That little email trail, it made the manager absolutely livid with the senior coworker. He got called out for having zero plan, totally embarrassed in front of everyone. And guess who had to drive them to and from the supplier visit? Yup. And then, in this perfectly timed, almost cinematic moment, her car magically becomes available again that very day. It's just chef's kiss, perfect.
So, mission accomplished, right? Justice was served. But this is where the story gets really interesting, because it sparked this huge debate online. Was this an act of sheer genius, or was it just incredibly petty?
I mean, let's look at both sides. The petty argument is pretty strong, right? She lied, she manipulated the whole situation, she wasted hours of her own life on this. But then you've got the justice side. She forced someone to be accountable, she exposed a lazy coworker for what he was, and she got what she wanted without having to get into a big, messy confrontation.
And people online, they had opinions. The top comment on Reddit was basically a standing ovation for the pettiness. It just said, "The pettiness is strong in this one. Good work." You could just feel how many people were cheering her on.
But then another comment kind of reframed the whole thing. It said, "Sometimes petty is exactly what's needed when people won't step up." And that's a different take, right? It suggests that maybe this wasn't just about being petty. It was about using the only tool available to get some justice.
Okay, so just when you're leaning one way or the other, genius or petty, the narrator comes back with an update, a piece of context that, well, it changes the entire story.
Yeah, it turns out this was never just about a lazy coworker. There was something much, much bigger going on. And here it is. The narrator revealed that she's a woman working in a very male-dominated industry. She explained that in her toxic workplace, being outright straight or confrontational would put her at a severe disadvantage. This kind of behavior from her coworker wasn't a one-time thing. It was, in her words, par for the course. Suddenly, her whole indirect plan starts to make a lot more sense, doesn't it?
And with that one piece of information, the whole narrative shifts. This stops being a funny story about petty revenge and becomes a really powerful lesson about what it takes to navigate a truly difficult, even hostile workplace. It really introduces this idea of, let's call it strategic survival. It's this concept that when you're in an environment where being direct gets you penalized, you have to find other ways, indirect ways, to get fair treatment and just protect your career.
So really, that's the big takeaway here. What seemed, on the surface, like an over-the-top, petty revenge plot was actually something else entirely. It was a calculated, strategic tool for survival in a culture where the normal rules just don't work for everyone.
And that brings us right back to where we started, but with a whole new perspective. So I'll ask you again, was it petty revenge or was it strategic survival? And I think how you answer that question might just say a lot about the kind of workplaces you've had to navigate yourself.